Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred We See Died Laughing, and I am here with a few different things to talk about today. So I am going away on holiday for a while, just up to Donegal, which is up the top of Ireland, which I've gone to before and most of you guys have probably heard me talk about before, but I've no internet up there, so I can't do my normal weekly wrap up on Sunday, as I'm hoping to get up there either on Saturday night or sometime Sunday. So I won't be able to do a normal wrap up the way I normally do, so I want to just do a quick wrap up today and tell you guys the 3 books that I've read so far this week, and then I'll also do a Friday Reads video, let you know what I'm going to be planning to read this weekend, and then I also want to tell you what I'm planning to read for the BookBuddyAthon, which I'm also taking part in this week from the May 7th to May 13th. So I will just get started and tell you the first book I read this week, which is The Museum of Extraordinary Things by Hoffman. This book I finished on Sunday night and it was just a really great read. I really enjoyed it. It is set in 1900s New York, kind of around Brooklyn, Coney Island, and it's also set around the time of these 2 really great fires that happened in this area. One of them was the Shirtwaist Factory fire and another one was the Dreamland Amusement Park fire. So they happen within this book, kind of one happens near the start of the book and one happens near the end of the book. And the 2 characters that this book centres around are Coralie and Eddie. And Coralie's father runs a museum of extraordinary things where basically he collects different specimens, different creatures, people who would be labelled freaks in normal society, you know, women who are really fat, men who kind of look like wolves, a girl who has no arms and they kind of dress her so she looks like a monarch butterfly. These different things, and Coralie also works in this museum as kind of a human mermaid under the orders of her father, who is really strict and kind of he's very imposing figure on her and her life. And then at some point in the book she meets a man called Eddie, and Eddie is a photographer who is kind of running away from a Orthodox Jewish background, and he ends up getting involved within this disappearance of this young woman who it gradually leads him to be to Coralie and her kind of involvement within this mystery as well. And I just really love this book. This book I think would appeal to people who loved the night circus, because I feel there is this real magic within this story, even though there is no actual magic in the Museum of Extraordinary Things like there is in the night circus, but it just has this magic feeling in it, like the magic of the ordinary and the magic of the people who are a little bit extraordinary. And I just really loved it. It was just really beautifully woven together. The language in it was beautiful, just the weaving of the history around these 2 lives, and just the atmosphere of this place, of this 1900s Coney Island where these amusement parks are being set up. There was, you know, the atmosphere of how the season started coming in, the tourists started coming, the place got busier. I just really felt it all. And I also think people who like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children might like this one, because it's a little bit similar in that, you know, obviously you have this collection of strange and extraordinary people. And it's kind of like almost like a grown-up version, I guess, of Miss Peregrine's. At one point Eddie takes pictures of the people who were employed by the Museum of Extraordinary Things, and the way the pictures are described, I just suddenly wanted the book to be like Miss Peregrine's. And I wasn't a huge fan of Miss Peregrine's, but when he was describing the photos, I just 100% wanted those photos within the book so I could see them for myself, and that would have been amazing. But I could see it really clearly in my head, so that was good too. And again, the relationship between Coralie and Eddie I really loved in this book, even though it was pretty much insta love. Like, they kind of fell in love with each other as soon as they first saw each other, but it was at different times. They saw each other at different times in the book. Coralie saw Eddie first, and a few weeks later Eddie saw Coralie first. But there was just something about the way they kind of fell in love with each other that was really beautiful, and it was kind of that struck dumb kind of feeling, I guess, and it was just done so perfectly. And I think this book is an example of insta love done right, and it's insta love that you can kind of go with and that you can follow and you can really love. So this was just a really beautiful story. I really enjoyed reading it, and it was one of those ones that I didn't realise how much I had enjoyed it until I finished it and closed the book and kind of let myself digest what I just read, and then I was like, yeah, that was a really good book. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book unfortunately was a little bit of a letdown for me, and it was The Hunter's Kind by Rebecca Levene. This is basically a follow-on, a sequel to The Smiler's Fair, which is a high fantasy series written by Rebecca Levene. And this is about a boy called Krish, who's been told that he is kind of the living avatar of this moon god called Ron. And there is loads of different characters in this book, loads of different character arcs happening at the same time, and basically Krish has been told he's a god and he kind of has to deal with it, and he has to kind of try and figure out what he's supposed to do next. And this was just a follow on from events that happened in the Smiler's Fair, which I won't tell you about obviously because it'll be spoilers, but there was just something about this one that just left me feeling a bit like, I just was like, after I put it down I was like, why did I bother even reading that? I just felt like it was a waste of my time, I think. I just didn't get what I wanted out of it. And my opinion is obviously really, really rare, because most people that I've seen the reviews of have all given this book 5 stars or 4.5 stars. They've all really liked it. So the star rating on this book is actually pretty high, but I gave it 2.5 stars just because I just felt so disappointed with it, particularly with the ending of it, because I just felt like it was really, really flat. I just didn't really like it, and the epilogue, there was an epilogue that did save it a little bit for me, kind of got the action going, but the actual ending, like the ending of the very last chapter, it was just really flat, and I was just like, oh, that's it, like, that's all I get, okay. So yeah, so unfortunately it wasn't a good one for me. And the last book that I finished, that I literally finished a couple of hours ago, right before I had to go to the library to return it, it was Rebel of the Sands by Alywn Hamilton. And this is one that I've been really, really eager to read, because there's been so many mixed reviews about it, and my opinion is that I actually really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's about a girl called Amani who is living in kind of a fantasy world that seems to be very Middle Eastern like, and she is living in a patriarchal society where women are basically treated like crap and they don't have any rights, and they're just treated really, really badly. And she disguises herself as a kind of a sharpshooter, and she enters this competition and she pretends to be a boy, and she meets this other guy, and then there's all these events happening, and eventually she finds herself on the run with this other boy called Jin. And this land there's also a rebellion happening in it, and kind of things are stirring up within the country, and she kind of finds herself involved in it without even meaning to be involved in it. And I really, really enjoyed this. It kind of took me a while to get into it, and then I was about over 100 pages in, and something happened when I was reading it this morning on the bus, and it was just one of those things that I really, really love in a book, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm totally on board with this. So I did really enjoy it. I've seen some people give out about the relationship in it between Amani and Jin, and I was okay with it. I actually found it pretty okay, and I actually liked that the relationship that they had, that their growing relationship, and that the fact that they were growing closer to each other, it didn't take away from the main point of the story, which is what their other struggles that they were going through, of, you know, on the run, getting away from people who were after them, etc, etc, and, you know, all the bigger things about the rebellion and things that they had to do for that. And I just felt like that those took a more important, you know, step up, and then their relationship was like a step down, and that was fine for me, because that was very realistic in my point of view as well. So I really, really enjoyed that. So overall I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think it's a pretty strong first book in a series, and I'm really, really excited to see what else is going to be coming from the series, because I just think that this is a really good sign of things to come, and I think I'm really going to enjoy the rest of the series as well. So I'll be looking forward to that when the next books come out. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the BookBuddyAthon, which is happening this week, May 7th to May 13th, and my book buddy is Lily over at Sweet Love Books, and I will link her channel below. She is great, go check her out. So the BookBuddyAthon was created by Eleanor over at Layla Reads Books and Sam over at Cold Tea and Crumbs, and I will link their videos down below as well. There are a few different challenges with this readathon, and one of the first ones is to pick a book to buddy read with your buddy, and myself and Lily had had a look at our TBRs, and both of us had The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Alywn on our TBR, and we both had some sort of version of the book, and we decided that we were going to read that one. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, especially as the second book just came out this week. And as well, I just read Rebel in the Sands, which is set in the Middle East, and I think The Wrath and the Dawn is set in a Middle Eastern setting as well, so I'm really in the mood for those kind of things now, so that's just perfect timing. The next challenge is to pick 3 books and have your buddy pick a book for you to read. So I gave Lily the choice of Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas, and Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, all books that I've been wanting to read for ages and that I have physical versions on my bookshelf. And she decided on Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas, and I'm really excited to read this book. I've had this book forever. I read Throne of Glass like a year ago and I haven't picked this up yet, and I don't know why, because I've gone to pick it up so many times and then I've just put it down, and I don't know what it is about this series that I'm kind of like stalling myself with reading it. But I am looking forward to finally getting around to the second book because I've heard really good things about this. The next challenge is to pick a book that has your buddy's favourite colour on it, and Lily's favourite colour is yellow, and I decided to read The Tutor Wife by Emily Purdy, which obviously has a lot of like yellow and gold colours on it. This is a Tudor historical fiction, and it is about Jane Parker, who was married to Anne Boleyn's brother George, and it's kind of about her time in court. And the next challenge is to read a book that starts with the first letter of your buddy's name, or at least has a letter of your buddy's name in it. And I've decided to read Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova, which is a book I got off NetGalley and isn't out for a couple of months I think, but it's something that I obviously need to read and review for NetGalley, and it sounds really good. It is about a girl whose family are kind of witches or kind of have these magical powers, and it's set in Latin America, and one day on Death Day, or the Day of the Dead, she kind of does some sort of magic spell and it all goes wrong and she needs to try and figure out how to solve it, or something along those lines. But it sounds really good. The cover is amazing, as I'll put up here somewhere you can see it. I really love the cover. It's completely what drew me into the book when I saw it on NetGalley, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. And the next one is just to read any book that you want to. Now I'm going to be honest, I am going away for a week, and I'm going away where there's no internet, there's going to be a few walks, there's going to be a lot of movies, and there's going to be a lot of reading. So I think that I'm actually almost afraid of all the reading I'm going to get done, because I know I'm going to probably read so many books, and I'm kind of dreading my wrap up next week, and I'm kind of wondering, will I have to split it into 2? Will I read so many books I will need to split it into 2? Because I might need to do that, I don't know. But the other books that I have to read anyway, other than those ones that I've shown you, is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is something I got from the library a few weeks ago, which I had in my April library haul, but it is actually overdue. Starting this weekend, it's overdue from the library and someone has it on hold, so I can't renew it basically, so I'm just having it an extra week. I'm just going to pay the fine when I bring it back because I need to get it read, because I know it'd be ages before I got it back from the library, so I'm just being a little bit bold and I'm taking it out for an extra week when I'm not supposed to. Other than those, which I'll all be reading this weekend, I think I'm going to try and start The Things We Keep by Sally Hepworth either tonight, and I'll be reading it tomorrow as well. This is also a book I got from NetGalley, and it just sounds really intriguing. It is about a woman who gets early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 38, and she goes to kind of a care home, and I think she ends up falling in love with another patient there, and then the nurse that is looking after them has to try and make some decisions about their care and kind of goes against the wishes of the family in these 2 patients' case. Something along those lines, and I just think it sounds really good. So please let me know what you guys are reading this weekend, what you guys think of the books that I have read, the books I've picked out for my BookBuddyAthon, what you guys are reading for the BookBuddyAthon, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!